This is the 13th exhibition of the Mohatta Palace Museum, and it is a departure for the museum because it is in the contemporary idiom, and the title is The Rising Tide, New Directions in Art from Pakistan, 1990 to 2010. It is an unusual collection of the works of some 42 artists, emerging as well as established from all over Pakistan and its diaspora. Cartographies of intimacy, and includes a collection of works by some 8 to 9 artists recording their personal responses to happenings and events of the last 20 years. Here, for example, is a collection from the well-known miniature painter, or should I say neo-miniaturist painter, Imran Qureshi. And interestingly enough, in each of them, he is juxtaposing the paradox of daily life. On the one hand, a beautiful garland of flowers, alongside a missile, superimposed on a document, almost like a palimpsest, in which the writing has been painted over or redone, if you like, to depict what he wishes to show as the ultimate irony. The entire series revels in the same imagery but has different backgrounds. Similarly, we have a painting here by Samina Mansoori, a somewhat tortuous and tortured work of art entitled Darkest Light, with the blue depicting nature, the asphyxiation, if you like, the stultification of the natural elements of life, roots of trees, the mangrove swamp, and this cluster of thorns in a weird configuration, mirrored in the adjacent image in a depiction of the human intestine, if you like, and body parts. The fact that we have consciously or unconsciously done this to our environment, and indeed, dare I say, to our lives. A curator, artist, critic and teacher, and assistant professor at the National College of Arts, Quddus Mirza. And interestingly enough, the two paintings here are, I think, if I'm not mistaken, about 5 years apart. Here, entitled Portrait of My Village, he has a naive, almost, if you like, Chagall-like interpretation of memories, local images from where he was born, the village mosque, the TV aerials, the graveyard, the farmhouse, the water pump, the horse-drawn cart, children playing beneath a lean-to, and various other images that a number of us can very easily relate to. One of the main themes underlying the exhibition is how life has evolved in the cities of Pakistan, if you like, urban life in general, and how artists respond to the vicissitudes and difficulties and events that their lives pose in the settings and the space that the city offers for habitation, whether it's space to live in, work in, love in, and die in. Ruhi Ahmed here, in this set of 4 images, has depicted a stylized, if you like, version of the route she would follow from her house to the school where she taught, the art school, in this case the Indus Valley School of Art and Architecture. And here, with a mixed media technique using color pencils, ink, watercolors, and even wax on a sort of gypsum board, you trace physically from her house, which it says Ghar, M.A. Jinnah Road, winding down to Kam, which is the college she works at. Similarly, alternative routes that she has been following. And then 12 years later, the city of Karachi as it has evolved, with its complex and confusing and bewildering array of roads. That simple road that she used to follow, in contrast to the incredibly complex configuration that the metropolis of Karachi now offers her, and with which she has to contend on a daily basis. This corner is particularly evocative, I think, because it underscores the importance and the role of cinema art, primarily a facet of popular culture which has injected, infused and inspired the contemporary art such as we know it today. The idea of the jukebox, an instrument, if you like, of music for the public, for public hearing and entertainment, decorated in the truck art style. So a very clever, if you like, utilization of aspects of mass culture in Pakistan and in the cities of Pakistan today, with its wonderful, vivacious, exuberant, ebullient decoration and ornamentation, where it says, very, very sweet Medina. Medina, as we all very well know and relate to, is the ultimate concept of home, of peace, serenity and tranquility. So Medina here is an extended metaphor for the home that we all crave, yearn and try to create. Here we have flashing lights, banners, and behind it, to provide appropriate background, a cinema poster. Sabiha with her revolver, juxtaposed with domestic, if you like, icons like a washing machine, currency notes, and a swooning, heavily made up, stylized heroine, almost faint with passion and emotion, on the lower right. The title of this work is in fact Very, Very Sweet Medina. Alongside another very important, I think, historical work by Ahmad Ali Manganhar, a young Sindhi artist, showing here the icons of Pakistani cinema and how the skills that he acquired as a young man in Tando Alayar, where he used to work with his master and forced to create posters within a limited time period of 3 hours. It's very evocative and almost thrilling work by the young sculptor Abdullah Sayyid, who is visiting us from the University of Sydney in Australia and has brought some of these materials with him from Australia, but has assembled it and constructed it and planned it on site. He has worked diligently and quietly here at the museum for almost a week, putting all this together. If you'd like to take a close look, the name is Rug of Drones. So here there are helicopters and blades of helicopters in a swathe overhead. Alongside, I leave you to guess what that might be. Not only does it frame the aircrafts, but it gives it a certain sinuous rhythm, almost disciplined in its monotony. And then along the wall here, a shadow of the Rug of Drones, accentuated when the sunlight is down and the lighting, the special lighting goes on. Munawwar Ali Sayyid, in the form of 3, if you like, totemic poles that could be missiles, that could be anything, but happen to be people stifled into some sort of physically constraining cylindrical containers or vessels. So your guess is as good as mine that they are missiles. Here the person is upside down with the feet in the air. Once again, feet in the air, natural texture, powerful imagery of how we are all being squeezed beyond our control. A work of art by Rashid Rana, an early work of a very talented and almost iconic artist for Pakistan, a digital artist bordering on extreme technical virtuosity. But this canvas is in direct contrast to his current work. And as you can see, it is a triptych with the title Motia, the idea of devotional offering of flowers at the shrine, once again using elements of cinema painting or hoarding and iconic faces, Wahid Murad, Lehri, Sabiha and Zeba. And of course the inevitable symbol of oppression, a large pair of steel scissors. This is a very powerful collection in the second gallery with the title or the theme of urban transition. And it marks a very important turning point or watershed in the exhibition, because we have gone from a perspective on the historical evolution of contemporary art over a period of 20 years, signaling events in those 20 years or some of those events that artists saw fit to depict, to the city and how life in the city has begun to evolve in response to the events, the happenings, the peoples, the climate and the interaction with the world outside. Is an exceedingly disturbing sculpture which is both thought-provoking, uncannily real and relevant to our lives today, and indicative of the extraordinary violence and the menace of ever-present violence with which we cope in our everyday lives. We have parts, severed parts of the body, women's heads, limbs, torso, legs, even a baby's skull, and macabrely enough, skin peeling off the calf of the victim of violence. Here we have a dramatic new development that has entered the lexicon of Pakistani art, which is digital photography. Farida Batul has utilized this marvelous technique in a lenticular print, which is superimposed photographs, one upon the other, layered as it were, to convey a continuing and movable image that moves along with the eye and movement of the viewer. The name of the work is Ek Sheher Jo Udas Hai, a city which is sad, a city which is melancholy. currently on residency in London. And she is from the hall, and metaphorically here what she's trying to show is that how the walls of the city are enclosing the inhabitants. So it's literal as well as metaphorical. The sheher of glass is for what happens when bombs go off and wanton destruction takes place. They are actually made of bread. So they are an organic material which will decay and turn into dust. So the artist has used a very powerful way of showing a reaction to the vision that we see on the media on an almost daily basis of bodies massacred by violence. This is another very powerful work called Asar, or Traces, which is a culture, street life and street culture of the city presents and represents the most basic of our culture. So the iconography of everyday life, whether it's toilet signs or exit signs or fire signs or anything, army badges,